Good evening, everybody. Red Jet Asylum Hot Rods. Welcome to my live streaming Rot Rod build. We are going on. Here we go. So we left off last night. Some people got cut off. It would have got saved if you need to get caught up. It got saved there. We lost internet connection, kids on the internet, and all that fun stuff. So you know how that goes if you've got kids. So when we left off, I just did the one head. I was going to carry on. I did carry on, and here's where we are with our engine. There she is. She looks orange, but she's actually looks orange in that picture, but it's red. Most nail heads are usually that turquoise color that we all know and love. Just do one of these. There you go, guys. Yep, there we go. Went with the red just again when we followed up and found out exactly what the pedigree on that engine was. It was out of a full-size Chevy truck, and those would have been painted this red orange color. So laying some tribute to that heritage there, so that it's showing true. I have this thing. It was fresh heads and a bunch of stuff. I just can't leave it bare. I know that's cool for rat rod stuff, but I can't. So it's something that bugs me. Ran into a few difficulties all getting her together after we shut off. Let's see, where should we start? So rocker shafts on the nail head, controls all the rockers. Had a couple of bolts that I guess they decided that it was long enough, and while torquing it down, we sheared two of them off. So whether it was over torqued in the past, had a stress crack or whatnot. Anyway, so we replaced all those. We had two break. Who knows when the other one's going to break? So we got rid of those. Had another couple of other fasteners that were just stripped from years gone by, just used and abused. So picked up some other stuff, and of course some of the jack you pick up, it's crap out of the box nowadays too. So we chucked those out and got some good stuff from the good jobbers. So we also had found a broken bolt. Of course, it was just like that, broken off in the water pump housing. So my little technique on doing that is I usually just, can you see that? What I do is I weld a nut to the broken bolt, and heat gets in there, opens up the threads. I let it cool off. Sometimes I'll hit it with some PV blast or whatever else, depends on how tough it is, and we'll nail that. And that usually gets it out pretty good without having to drill and tap. That's my first attempt. That's what I do. I hit that, see what happens. So we were hoping to get this motor going in on Monday. Was that 4 days ago? And we haven't even thought about it. Between waiting for some parts to come in, machine shop get cut off because they were able to slip me in there. They did a great job. They slipped me in there when I needed to. So we got all those parts back. Our motor mount biscuit showed up today, so we can actually mount this thing and get things going. We've already got the motor mounts on the engine. That was part of the pieces that came in. So these things showed up today. So that means tomorrow night, maybe we'll put in the motor. That'd be good. We got some more work to do on the intake. Funny thing about the intake. So intake's beautiful. Gear drive, awesome guys. The story on that is a long one. I think I touched base on it in one of the other videos. But long story short, I got it as cast. They didn't even have time to machine it, finish it all up. The way that I understand Matt has them cast is that basically he did one casting, and that casting will go across a small block, the 322s, up to the 401, 425s, because they've got enough meat in what they did to machine them to fit the different size of nail heads. So he was ready to go ahead with the bigger stuff, which would be the most popular, as he should, because that'll be stuff that sells a little faster than the baby stuff. But anyways, long story short, he let me have one as cast, ready to go. I had a buddy machine it flat, and it was beautiful casting. But finish up the machine work there, open all up. I had a couple things left to do. One of them is for me to put on the anti-backfire valve. So we picked up a few different springs to make up our own. That's where that baby goes in there, right there. So there's a plate. So basically we're just gonna make a plate, cut a gasket for it, springs and washers, checking to see what the pressure is by pressurizing it and seeing where it wants to pop off. Not pop off, blow off valve, pop off valve. Anyway, so anyways, we're going to try a couple of different springs, see what's works. So the other thing I didn't ask my machine shop guy to do is, if you can see those markings there, all the black markings, that's me. I've still got to port match this. I asked him not to do that until I got it bolted on, so I could check it out and see how it lines up and everything else. And it lines up beauty. I tell you, great. So yeah, so I just gasket matched the heads, which fit our gaskets nice. They didn't need any work there. This here, we're just gonna open her up, and it's gonna match perfectly. It's really basically a port match. So anyway, so we're gonna try to knock that off ASAP so we can finish off that portion of the build. So yeah, so that was a few of the roadblocks we ran into and hurdles we had to get over. So that's going fine now. We've got all that under control. We've got the high torque starter. I mounted that. We've got that index for not only where we want it to be, but also for the best position for routing the wiring and stuff. I put the flywheel on, dry fitted that to see how that looks. I have a feeling we'll probably end up having to make a shim for that starter just to bring it out a little bit because the clearance looks really close. I put the feeler gauge in there. It feels all right, but when stuff starts spinning around and that sort of stuff, sometimes you need a little bit more than just really close. So that's good. We got some pulleys painted up. Yeah, so I want to say that we're free in the clear here on the motor, but I can't say that. One thing that we haven't touched base on is that part of the 322 with the 471 and all this stuff is we're not reinventing the wheel, but we're certainly bringing it back. So I couldn't call any of the big blower manufacturers and say, hey, you want to send me a drive kit for this thing? Because their answer was, we don't have one. Put your engine together, bolt your pulleys on, give us these measurements, X, Y, and Z, and then we'll make you up pulleys and a drive kit and everything else. Well, by the time I did that, I think the price on that was going to be, I think they said around $1,200. That's American, not Canadian, so 26% exchange plus duty and shipping. I would have been out probably $1,800 to $1,900 pretty quick and easy right now. So the other thing that I also wanted, I want V-belt on this. Bert was in here today and was bugging me about, what do you want a V-belt for? Again, I'm going this era of late 50s sort of look, maybe 1960 at the earliest. And although, yeah, you could get the Gilmore belt, I know it was 2 inches, not the big fat 3 inches that we're used to. And although I'm definitely going to miss the blower whine, I just think that's cool for what we're doing. Stick with the V-belt. So we still have to make pulleys that work. I've got a pile of them here I'm going to try to go through. I've got an idea of what may or may not work. We still have to make an idler for the blower setup, tensioner. And we've got to mount an alternator on here somewhere, somehow amongst all that too. So I'll probably tackle that once we actually get the engine and transmission in frame. So we know where the rad sport's going to be and all the other stuff too. So we know exactly how much room we have. We should have a fair bit of room here compared to what we normally deal with. Because normally we're trying to stuff 12 pounds of poop in a 5-pound bag. We're definitely doing that with the blower and 4-gear in this frame. That's another hurdle we'll talk about. Lots of hurdles I've come up with in the last 2 days just because, it wasn't hard enough already. We'll find some more stuff to add to it, right? Yeah, so we're going to get that in there. Part of what I want to do tonight is kind of get this rad shell, grill shell in place, maybe drop a hood side on. I've got the full front suspension ready to go in. We've decided to go with a hot rod, old school, drilled and dropped axle for the front with split wishbones. Gonna put disc brakes on it. What we're doing here. I have drums on my hot rod Dirty Girl, but we're gonna put disc brakes on the front of this, just on the front, drums on the back. So we've got that all good to go, but I need to know exactly where my front axle needs to be. We've got an idea where the back one's gonna be because we've got the rear fenders hung, but I'm kind of a stickler with having those wheels centered in the wheel wells and wheel arches. I see a lot of cars that are real close or off a little bit, and it's just one of those things that once you get wind of it and it sticks in your craw, it's there. So yeah, so I want to get this hung up, get an idea, get that on there. Now the fenders are in pretty rough shape. They've had stress cracks. There's rust holes in them, top, bottom, inside out. They've had some lead work done on it, and the lead work is well, it's been for a long time. So it's held on for a while, but it's certainly not pretty now. So they definitely need a lot of work. I'd like to say toss the fenders or run without, or run short fenders, but I've got that on my hot rod. I want to do something different with this one, so I'm gonna try to get all the fenders put on it for this run. Yeah, so there's some hurdles. We still have to get the bell housing bolted on, flywheel, pressure plate, all that is good to go. We're missing some hardware there too. That was the other hurdle. When we were going to use the lightweight flywheel, the aluminum flywheel, it was thinner and it had bolts that were shorter. Using the cast one, it's sorry, not the cast one, the hard steel one. It's a little thicker, and of course, we was only into the bolts that we had to bolt that onto the crank. We're going to hang on by 2 threads, not sufficient enough. So anyways, I was able to scrounge up some of those. So we've got some bolts to get that on. Once we get all that in place, we're still taking a guess as to where we're going to be with that throw bearing. So Hopefully tomorrow, before we look at getting the motor in place, we'll be able to get that in and be spot on. If we have some difficulties there, then it might mean putting the motor in, getting transmission and motor mount bolts in place, but it's going to have to come back out again to get that sorted out, because the transmission will not come out in frame with having this frame with the X frame in there. So there's one. Last hurdle we know of. X frame that we want to keep. Super T10 per shifter mounts on the side. Inside that X frame, where it comes in like this, that shifter wants to be right in there, plus or minus, depending on where we put that engine. But my measurements are going to show is that where that shifter is going to be is just about dead center of that X, which means the shifter has to come out through the X frame. So we'll probably end up opening that up so we can get the shifter basically outside the X, so I actually can control it. And then we may have to just work on that X and reinforce it in the area that we give it some relief so we can get things out. So anyways, I'm going to work for a little while here. It's we're going on 10 o'clock. It's been a long day. I was block standing, doing some body work on a beautiful Super Bee today. Marty and June, thanks guys. They came out and seen me yesterday. Mary Jane's here too. Got some work to do on her. Got some AC stuff fixed up, so it's all good. Thinking maybe we've got another Super Bee. Maybe we'll live stream this Super Bee when we start getting the second one, the Green Bastard, as it were, back into the shop. Maybe we'll live stream that, get some of that stuff going on. That'll be fun for all of our Dodge brothers and sisters. So anyways, without further ado, I'm going to drop the Buick down, bring it down. As you can see in the background, we have those two pretty rough fenders. Probably drag those out in a little while. And in the background, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 hood sides and hood top. So that's 2 complete hood assemblies, tops and side. Very rare for me to have that. Usually I'm chasing 1 piece or 2 pieces or 3 pieces or maybe even all of them. So we've got all the pieces there. We're probably going to run it just the hood top. Whether I keep it as 2 pieces and folding with some latches or bolts holding it down, we'll see. I even thought maybe I'd just run a weld down the middle of it and just do it as a 1-piece lift off top, or even hinge it. Not this week, but maybe down the road we'll end up hinging it or something like that. But anyways, I've got some hoods that I can work with. I'm just going to grab the one that is the most straight, or the pair that's the most straight, whether they're mismatched or not today. That's not really important to me. It's just a matter of trying to get these things lined up. So throw a couple of pieces here. Just going to do one of these. How's that look? Yeah, it looks good. You can see the messy shot. Okay, so this is the grill surround. Sometimes when I'm working by myself, like tonight after everybody's in bed or should be going to bed, you come up with ways to hold things and secure them when you're working by yourself. So how do I hold that grill, that big old grill shell, because she's big? Grab a big block of wood that will be supportive. I grab a big drill, drill a hole in the block of wood, and there's a stud on the bottom of a lot of these grill shells, and jam the block of wood in the hole. There we go. And then that baby will stand up on its own. So I can put other blocks underneath it and whatever else I'm going to lift. So anyways, just to show you how big this baby is. That's how big she is. That's how big she is. So for reference, that's how big it is. All right. Me being a big tall guy, that thing is huge. Huge it is. How tall it is? I'll tell you how tall it is. We are, that grill shell from top to bottom is about 38.5 inches. 38.5 inches. Didn't think that with me being 6'5", right? Not that tall. Okay, anyways, we're gonna drop it down, see what we can do. Probably gonna run out of room. It's gonna be our problem soon. This is why I don't normally have them in the shop this way. We talked about that when we brought it in day 1. cover up this engine. We don't need anything disappearing in there. So I'm just gonna mock this up, kind of get it closer to where we're on ride height. I don't have the rake because the hoist is completely horizontal. I haven't sort of raking it or whatever else, but anyways. That is somewhat close to where ride height's going to be. I know the size of tire we're going to have around a 30-inch tire in the back height-wise, plus or minus. Still trying to figure that out exactly. We do have rims now. We picked those up. We've got the 9-inch rear end. I've got 2 different suspensions for the back. I'm on the fence of using one or the other, or maybe neither. I know I'm late to the party here, but it's got to be right. So I've got a set of ladder bars. Pretty harsh ride. They got Heim joints in them. They can lead to a pretty rough ride sometimes. I've also have a 4-link, but this 4-link isn't like a drag one. It's more of a street version, so it's got urethane bushings in it, and it's a lot smoother. Still a stiff ride. Problem with that one is actually designed to be completely horizontal, parallel in the frame is a better way to put it, parallel in the frame. And again, where it ends up being in the frame is right where the X starts to come in. So it would actually be having to mount on there. We'd have to resport the brackets and everything else. So it's just not quick and easy right where I want it to be. Other option that I'm looking at is maybe just doing a triangulated rear 4-link. So that would be lower bars are parallel with the frame. Uppers go from the inside of the axle to the outside of the frame, which would probably catch the X part of the frame there a lot better. We were talking about putting a set of parallel leafs on it originally, where I want it to be. So anyways, I've got the coilovers already. I've got a couple different spring setups. I guessed on kind of what our weight is going to be without actually putting a scale iron on it, because obviously we don't really know what it's going to weigh, but I did a ballpark on some other cars that I've done, and so I've got a ballpark. So I've got 2 sets of springs for the back. That should be where we want it to be. Got the full setup for the front, so we've got some options there. But anyways, back to what I'm doing here. So basically, I'm just going to try to get this grill shell roughly where I think it's going to be. Probably have to block it up. Oh, just so you know, this could be an outright fiasco. If I start doing this by myself, things might tip over and start crashing and falling on the ground. You're going to hear me swear, and I'm going to shut it off, and I'm going to call friends tomorrow. We're going to do it again tomorrow. So this could be a really short episode tonight. Just got a couple of big 6x6s, just ballparking some stuff. And so part of the reason that we're doing this too is so that I know where to extend this frame out to catch this rad sport / grill shell, because this thing's got a really long front end on it, having a straight A in it before. So I think I'm probably a little right here. I think I am anyways, but I just want to see. So I'm at 4 inches. How long is that? I don't think it's quite that long. It's a mixed blessing having this long head. At the one hand, it's gives you lots more room for engine and other stuff that you don't normally have room for. On the other side, makes for a really long car. So we've got, I think it's at 53 back there. Roughly where we want to be. Wiggle, wiggle. almost got mad. See that? There we go, fall over in. Just happen to have some wood shims here to prop this up. Trying to stabilize this as best I can so that it doesn't fall when I throw a bit on top of it. Basically, we know we need to make some modifications to the front of this frame, not only with this cross member, it's got one heavy deep drop for having the that style of straight axle with the way the spring is located in relation to the axle. Hey, that's nice of YouTube to let me know that I'm live. Thanks, YouTube. So this is one portion of the hood. It's a remarkable shape. Now, it's kind of a shame that we're not going to run the hood sides. The reason I'm not running the hood sides is because it's a beautiful motor. And because that's a beauty piece, isn't it? She's beautiful. It is. It's really nice. But so's that engine with the blower on top of it. So, all right, so this is where things are going to go from, oh, we're having fun, to I'm back and going to bed. Thinking of taking off the hood sides, but for right now I thought I'd leave them on because it might actually help stabilize it as I try to do this. Whistling. Good, right? There. Again, we're not doing anything crazy here. I'm not trying to make everything fit. I'm just trying to get a estimation, as it were, of where we want to go. So the top of that's got to come up, actually. So I'm tight at bottom down here, loose up here, which means the nose has got to come up a little bit. That's part of the reason why I want to keep the hood sides on, so I can see where it falls the arc. Because when I go to put the fender on, that's when things are going to get significantly more difficult. So bring that back. The other reason I wanted to set this as ride height while doing this is due to the size of this grill. I wanted to get an idea of where I'd be down here for ground clearance. Where are we? Where are we? Here's where we are. I don't know what that measures at. That's not accounting for a bit of a rake. Now when I put the rear end I actually set the rear end at a lower point than I expected to be by about a half an inch, maybe an inch, so that I know that if I got to bring it up a bit. So right now, with no rake running flat, that nose is 7 inches off the ground. 7 inches, loads of clearance, loads. Gonna grab a couple of clamps, I think. Keep things together. No, I'm not going to make engine noises, vroom vroom, all that other stuff. I want to though. So the main thing I'm trying to accomplish tonight is get an idea for where I have to make the front crossmember support. You can't drive around with these blocks of wood there. So get an idea where in the frame I need to get that support member in there. Even if it's within an inch, 4.5, at least I know where it is, and then I can drill the final hole for that as it needs to be from there. Okay. Again, it's got to come up. It's too low. So it's going to come up another inch or so. That's a good thing. Do this. Let's do this. Sometimes have a tendency of building things, believe it or not, too low. Too low. That's getting heavy. Please don't crash on me. Please don't crash on me. Again, so I'm just checking the pitch and angle on this, where I want it to be. It's looking pretty good. So I'm going to snap a picture of that. I'll post it on our Facebook. Need better camera angles and stuff, so should go pro gangster. Yeah. I don't know what we're catching here. I'm just going to move this up here. Again, I'm just trying to keep everything together. My next step is going to be to grab that big fender and see where this front axle wants to be. Let's see where this front axle wants to be. Oh, this will be a lot nicer when it's all bolted in, eh? Soon. Soon. Feel good. We'll further move this rad support back to further get inside the factory frame rail, which means I thought I was going to have to extend it originally, but it's looking better and better. I'm good for the fender. So I may just need to fender benders over the years. Okay, so here's the heavy lifting. Here's the heavy lifting. Okay, so baby's not just ready to bolt on, it's got a couple of things that I got in. So we've got where the fender bolts on. This is obviously the driver's side, but you see where it bolts on here. You have 4 bolts. Those 4 bolts coincide with down here mangled. That's the bottom one. This one. This one's okay. These 2 are okay. And this top one here actually has part of the original grill shell. That's obviously not the original grill shell. That one's in great shape. Somebody's done a little, have the old one outside. It's a mess. It's a mess, and it explains why the bottom of this fender looks like this. So I'm going to do a quick measurement of one other thing before we get buried in this inner wheel well. It's louvered to let heat of the engine out. That's how it was designed. And also while keeping road grime and stuff off the engine. So I'm going to torch that off, and I'm guessing, I'm just going to check on it right now. It's probably going to interfere with my frame because the frame's obviously different than the other one. I'm going to check on that for interference, provide any sort of interference with some of that, whether it's a piece of it or all of it or none of it, and see if we can just follow today. Last night too. I'm gonna help things along the internet, but when I do that, it's probably gonna crash it. So I'm gonna end this stream. I'll start it right back again after I get some internet back up. If I don't come back, I'll see you tomorrow. It means my internet went probably all something. So anyway, all of this it's pretty much what I get that fender back up, hung, see how it looks, find my axle centering, so that when we start putting the front suspension in, hopefully I'll see you in a few minutes, and if right again tomorrow, and then we're gonna big weekend. Let's see if we can knock a bunch of this crap off over the weekend.